Welcome back, guys. In this new video, I will be focusing on sketches and in particularly the elements and design principles of sketches. For this video, I have a mechanical component, and here we have a piece that has been sketched and with a number of elements being used to carry out the design principles. And this is something that needs to be established clearly. What are elements? Elements are the lines that we use, the arcs, the circles, the curves, you name it, that we use to create the drawing or we use to enhance the drawing. Drawing is a language, and when we apply the elements, we create principles. What are the principles of design? The first principle of design for an architect or an engineer is ratio. Now, take for example this 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 cell phone, right? Take for example this cell phone. Yeah, the width of this cell phone is about half the length of this. So the length is about half the width. It means that the ratio of length to width to length is 1 to 2 or 2 to 1. Now, the thickness. The thickness here seems to be about quarter the width. So the first thing to establish is that when we are sketching this, that same ratio has to be maintained. It's of great importance. Now, in sketching this, say for example, I wish to sketch this. Let me sketch it here. Let's sketch it here. Right? If my length is here, then my width has to be half of that, which will have been here. Yeah. And if my width is here, my thickness, which is about quarter of this, should be here. It means therefore, when I'm establishing my sketch, I must ensure that the same ratio is established. Yeah, in that case. Even if I intend to make it a little bit smaller, like in this case. Even if I intend to draw this a little bit smaller, the same ratio and proportion has to be maintained. So the size doesn't really matter seriously. The same ratio and proportion has to be maintained. Yeah. So the same 1 to 2 and quarter has to be maintained. So this is referred to as ratio and proportion. So this is the basic. This is the first principle of design. The second important principle of design is the use of lines to create movements. Yeah, create movements and contrast. See, for example, here we have this is a cylindrical piece, and we typically use curved lines Like in this case, we use like curve, use curved lines to create the impression of a circle. So that's very important. Here as well, we use lines and curves to create a circle, to create a move, to create the circular movements. Another example is here, where lines are used to create movements. Yeah, here we use lines to create movements, and also pattern. Yeah, that helps to bring the drawing to life. So that's of great importance. So we have pattern, contrast. Here we have contrast between this part here. So we have a line going down, a line going down, which create a depth. So by looking on this drawing, we can realize that a section here is removed. There's a open space here. We also have lines going across, which moves in a separate direction, which indicates that it's a change in direction. Yeah. Now, the shape of these lines will determine if this is flat or if this is curved. If these lines were curved, it would have created a impression of a concave, like here, of a concave object. If we look across here, we'll also notice that here is left white and here is elements are used here. This also creates a contrast. And notice the pattern that's created here, and as well as here. If we notice here, we'll notice a couple lines going across here, which indicates movements to say that a hole is there. Here as well, if we notice in this little zone here, I have some lines going down like this. Those lines again create the depth, and that helps to bring the drawing alive. Coming further out here, we have a few lines here, a sharp darkened edge here, which creates contrast. This tells basically where this side ends, and you will notice that we have some lines going across like this. That creates a contrast and help to state exactly how this edge is shaped. By virtue of these lines being flat, being straight, we basically know that this is a flat, that this edge is flat and it is not curved. Yeah, very important. Coming across here, we have a couple lines on the edge here, which helps to enhance the image, to state that this is a curved surface right here. So these are the elements and principles that are combined to create sketches. Yeah, very important. So again, it is important to note that for CSEC, sketch should be done using pencil. It should not be done in AutoCAD. And that's very, very important. So the first thing for sketches to run, you must ensure that the correct ratio is established, the correct scale as well. So scale is also a principle of design. We can draw it full size or reduced size, like here. This drawing is scaled down a bit, and even though it is scaled down, we still maintain the same ratio and proportion, which is of great importance. Now, if we look across here, this is a conical shape object, and as you can see, there are lines here which follows the pattern of the shape, which speaks to movements. So these lines create a sense of movements, and by virtue of having here being darker and progressively lighter as we move towards the center, creates a pattern of curveness to this. We could even add some curve here to give the impression of So this object is curved. Yeah, you could also do that. Yeah, so that creates an impression that this object is actually curved. Here, you could also create some contrast here. Create some contrast here. I want to ensure that this is parallel to this side. Yeah. Now, if we create some curve like this, we could enhance this by creating some curve like this, which speaks to this face being curved. So the pattern here that is created will determine how this face actually looks. Yeah, very important. So like here, so add if I were to draw these out curve like this, it would then create a different impression. This now would be seen as a curved edge or not a flat edge, as unlike on this side. Yeah. So that's all now, guys, for this video.